Hi there, welcome to the channel, welcome back if you're a new viewer. My name's Kerry and you're watching the Christchurch Review of Books. Today, a book haul. May's book haul. It's getting towards the end of the month, and if I waited till the weekend it would be June, so let's get things out of the way. Not too much to cover this month. The same old thing. I've been concentrating mainly on the ebook side of things. Only a few actual physical books have trickled in the last month or so since the last video. We'll take a look at them. As you can see, I'm in a different position. This is really where I do my work in this new location. I haven't really reconfigured the room since I finished work about half an hour ago. So I just thought it'd look a little different, look a little better perhaps. I don't know, I've got all the lighting all set up for it. Another thing you may have noticed is the thumbnail is a bit different on this book haul video. Since I started doing like the discrete book haul videos, I've been using AI generated imagery in its various evolutions and forms, and basically I've come to a philosophical disagreement with the AI, or what's called AI, and has been the craze de jour at the moment that various companies are trying to shoehorn into all of their products to make even more money. I think it's an ill thought out fad which will end badly for most of them. And I'm not going to be a massive hypocrite and say this and use AI generated imageries. I mean, I am going to be a bit of a hypocrite and still use AI tools in things like Photoshop because they're really useful and it's actually a good use for that type of thing. The tools I mean are like for removing blemishes and creases and scratches, something you used to have to do by hand, but now the AI, or so-called AI, can do a really good job of that. So maybe I am a hypocrite, but as for generating images then passing it off as some great work of art of yours, I mean, that's really not my type of thing. Felt uncomfortable doing it for a while. It did make some easy thumbnail decisions for me, but from now on I'm going to be putting things together manually, and it may mean a little bit more work for me each month, but so be it. No idea what the thumbnail for this video looks like, so right now you know more than me. So anyway, it is, like I said, it is near the end of May. It is pretty much winter here in Christchurch, New Zealand. It's grey and damp outside at the moment. It gets really cold at night, gets really cold in the morning. The old fan heater comes on in the morning with me. I am working my job, but at the moment I'm in a 3-week training regime, which is taking me off my usual task, and it is such a relief. It's so calm, less anxiety. I'm feeling really great about it, and the training stuff seems a lot clearer than the first time round. It's a step up, but they are taking their time to explain it better, a lot more. My team and myself, we seem to be rushed through this type of thing at the beginning of the year just to get us on the phones as quickly as possible, and I think they've come to realise their error in doing that, and this time round we're getting a lot more explanation of what things mean and why we do things, instead of just told to go and do it. Anyway, you're not here to listen about my job or my life, so you'll hear about books. So since the end of April, I think I've got 5 physical books, and this is the first one I got here, Machine Vendetta. Very ironic considering my thoughts on AI, by Alistair Reynolds. Now this is the 3rd Prefect Dreyfus Emergencies, as he called the series after the fact, and the Prefect Dreyfus stories are actually a sub-series of the Revelation space opera type stories, and he's been writing these for about 25 years now. I've tried to start the series and with various degrees of success. I enjoyed the original book, Revelation Space. Then Chasm City is kind of like another side branch of it, and I didn't enjoy that as much. It really showed it was a very early attempt at a novel by him. It was kind of like a pseudo-cyberpunk space type thing. Well, not too much space, but revenge thriller. I thought it was just by the books bolted on with little bits of sci-fi here and there. Yeah, other people love it. They say the Revelation Space series is excellent. It's a very hard science fiction for its type, but other people say it degenerates into tired old tropes. And this one's been getting mixed reviews. They say that it seems like he's not really trying anymore. I'm not sure. Now, Dreyfus is a prefect, which is some type of a law enforcement officer in the Glitter Band, which is a orbit of space habitats with various types of government and organisation orbiting a planet called Yellowstone, which is one of the early Earth colonies in this universe. And by the time of the main series of the Revelation Space books, the Glitter Band is a ruin, and these books are set a little bit before that, and you can see the Glitter Band in its glory days and all the criminal activity that was going on there. I think the first book is called Aurora Rising, or maybe that's the first one. I can't remember, to be honest. I do have the other two physical books in this sub-series. I never got around to reading them, and now they're in storage like so many other of my books. I do have ebooks versions, so maybe one day I'll start on them. It's just another one of those things nagging at me. So anyway, that is Machine Vendetta. Okay, probably my favourite of the 5 books I'm looking at today is this one. This is A Different Light. Now, this is a quite recently published book, a New Zealand book. It is a companion piece to a museum exhibition, which is in a certain museum, which I've forgotten, probably in the North Island. It looks at the earliest found photographs photographed in New Zealand, produced in New Zealand. I think the earliest they have identified it as 1848, which is not that long after photography actually started everywhere in the world. This one here is in the 1850s, 1852, I think. It is some gentleman called Lawson Inslee, taken in April 1852. It's a daguerreotype type. That's one of the early photographic techniques. It's remarkable how much detail and whatever you can see in these ancient photos. I mean, that's pretty much what I've done in this book really so far. I haven't read any of the text or any of the explanations, so promises to tell you all about the photographs and the photographers and the subjects of the photographs. It's just a pleasure to look through. There's a lot of early New Zealand. So there's a Waka Prau. See, the Maori people feature heavily in these early colonial photographs, as you might understand. Yeah, so I'm trying to find some good examples here. There's just a lot of a wealth of material here, and this has become an exhibition which you can actually go see, but the book is the next best thing, obviously. Photographs of New Zealand from the mid-19th century. Looks good. I will read this eventually, just, you know, as I just said, everything's nagging at me to get it done. So, and on the Department of Books that I've bought more than once, we have Cultural Amnesia by Clive James. Now, I have the original version of this, which came out in, I don't know, 15 years ago maybe. If you've watched my old videos, you know Clive James was a favourite of mine, a favourite author, TV presenter. Died not that long ago, but I kind of like discovered his written stuff after his death, and it was probably a shame, but here we go. Now, this one is basically him doing a whole lot of biographical portraits of various people which he thinks have become forgotten over time. And the original version had a different cover, a different format, and I have that one in storage as usual. I also bought this version, a copy of this, at a library sale a few years back, and actually gave it to a friend. So I have now bought it again. So I now have I think it's a revised version of the text. He found some mistakes he'd made or some research that he got wrong, and so he's rewrote the text about 5 or 6 years ago this came out, or a little longer. I'm not 100% sure. Sorry, my research is bad for this one. Anyway, little fascinating vignettes about various people. Who have we got in here? Louis Armstrong, all lots of Franz Kafka, a whole lot of people like that. Jean Prévost. I don't even recognise half the people in here, so that's how forgotten they are, basically. So that is Cultural Amnesia by Clive James. Okay, next up is another one of those books that I've been hearing about, seeing talked about and discussed and being sold and advertised for about the last 20 odd years, and that is The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. And it promises to tell the story of the 1993 World's Fair in Chicago. Sorry, I just had to look on the back to see that. And it is two threads basically about the guy who brought the World's Fair to life at that time and a serial killer who was active at the same time, and how their paths crossed and connected and didn't connect and what have you. Lots of people loved this book. I remember when it was out, it got a lot of hype. It is said to be excellent, but there's a little bit of criticism that the stuff about the serial killer is about 75% made up supposition or guesswork, and that's probably the part that attracted half the readers. So be that as it may, I've been meaning to read this for a long time. I only just got a copy this week or last week, I can't remember. Yeah, it was last week, sorry, losing my marbles obviously. And so that is The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. I think various people have tried to make this into movies and TV shows and failed, so I will read that one day. Last up, we're going all political here. We have His Way, the apparently authorised biography of Sir Robert Muldoon, and it's written by Barry Gustafson, who was a political scientist of some note in New Zealand, and he's did all the political scientist stuff, opinion polls and talking about politics basically, and later in life he started writing these blockbuster biographies of several major political figures of New Zealand, and Robert Muldoon is one of them. Now Muldoon probably has a place in my memory as my probably first knowledge of political figures. He was New Zealand's Prime Minister from 1975 to 1984, basically from my age 4 to 13, basically, and pretty much most of what I remember about him is that he was hated. People made fun of him. He was called Piggy Muldoon because of his looks, his facial features. Everyone talked about the pig. I guess where I grew up was a little biased. It was a strong Labour area, and all my friends were probably not exactly fans of the National Party, of which he was the leader. So nobody really liked him around me anyway, and he is a complicated figure maybe. Probably the closest New Zealand's come to having an authoritarian dictator, basically, well, so far anyway. Once he got into power, he basically gave all the important portfolios in government to himself, and basically tried to run everything by himself with a few select deputies, and he clashed with people in his own party, he clashed with the opposition, he clashed with various parts of society. While he was a fan of people like Margaret Thatcher, he didn't really believe in a free market. He wanted to keep New Zealand kind of cotton balled up in a little secure 1950s type arrangement of tariffs and fixed markets and economies, planned economy. He was the finance minister for a large part of his prime minister term, and he basically messed up New Zealand's economy in the process of trying to keep us isolated from the world at a time where everything was changing. And when he actually lost the 1984 election, which was a snap election, which he apparently called while drunk, well, that's the famous footage anyway. The government that came in after him, David Longie's Labour Party, had to basically start the New Zealand economy with some drastic measures, which probably went too far the other way with hindsight. But Muldoon himself was increasingly unpopular and became pretty irrelevant when the members of his party decided they had to get rid of him. Towards the end of his life, there was an attempt to rehabilitate him as a fun old man with quirkiness in abundance, and they gave him the role of the narrator in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which was wacky old Robert Muldoon on stage with all the transvestites and what have you. he's said to have had a softer side and a lot of social conscience, but when he had the power to affect things like that, he didn't really show it. He clashed with everyone, as I'd said before. The thing that interests me about him is that his earlier life is apparently completely in contrast with his political life. He was struggled as a young man and actually had a social conscience to some part. And the reason I bought this book is because I want to find out more about that type of thing. And the other side of him that interests me is his wartime service. Apparently he was quite a heroic figure during World War II, fought in Italy with the New Zealand forces, and was well regarded. How a man like that became an authoritarian figure is probably what this book is all about. So that is My Way, the biography of Robert Muldoon by Barry Gustafson. I don't expect anyone outside of New Zealand to have much of an interest in this figure, but I do. So that is pretty much it. That's the 5 books I've got since the end of April. We're going 16 and a half minutes now. Just wanted to say thank you for viewing this video. I appreciate every viewer. The subscriptions have been going up a little bit more rapidly lately, mainly on the back of the shorts getting a lot more views, which is something that puzzles me, because my shorts are probably the worst part of what I think I've done for this channel. But every time I put one up, the viewing rate goes up by about 10%. The Abroad in Japan short, which lead people to the Abroad in Japan full review, seems to be very popular, probably on the back of the Abroad in Japan YouTube channel having millions of subscribers. So I'm a little bloodsucker on the backside of Chris Broad, I believe, and I'm grateful for that. But you know, like I said, this is just a hobby, it's not a business. I'm not expecting massive viewership and massive turnover. It would be nice to have a bit of a community there, but who knows. Anyway, that is enough from me today. We have almost hit 20 minutes, so I'm just going to say thank you very much for viewing. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time, and take care.